Welcome, everybody. We're going to get underway at this point. My name is Hilary Inwood, and I'm the lead of Environmental and Sustainability Education at OISE, and so happy to welcome so many of you to this webinar today. We have a fantastic turnout. We've got over 60 people in the room, which is a wonderful number for the start of our webinar, which is focusing today on TDSB students taking climate action. And we are so thrilled to have so many amazing TDSB students with us in the room. This is this idea came in part from a wonderful youth forum that happened recently as part of the National Conference in Environmental Education in Canada. And we were so thrilled by it. We thought we need to let the TDSB students shine in their own circles as well, not just for the rest of Canada, but we wanted to really put a spotlight on the wonderful work that's being done in terms of climate action with students in the Toronto District School Board. I'm happy to welcome so many members of TDSB's Eco Schools team and the Sustainability Office in the room with us today. Richard Christie is here, Senior Manager of the Sustainability Office, and really the brainchild in some ways of all of this that's happening, Richard. We really appreciate all of the amazing ideas you've had over a very long career, and we hope that those ideas are going to keep flowing because this helps to advance the work for all of us. I'm also happy to welcome Jen Vetter and Chris Metropolis from the Eco Schools team. Kristen Evars is in the room. We've got a couple of the new work studies students, or their interns, I think they call them, at the TDSB, Grace Keeble and Leah Robertson, as well as Pam Miller, who is, of course, a longstanding instructional leader, but this year masquerading as a grade 8 teacher in Eco Schools, and is sharing the work of her students today as part of that. So happy to welcome everybody into the room. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to Jen Vetter from the Eco Schools team.
Thanks, Hilary. Appreciate that great introduction. And to keep us moving along, I am going to introduce Trustee Wong. We have the great pleasure of working with Trustee Wong on the Environmental Sustainability Community Advisory Committee, of which she is the trustee co-chair. Trustee Wong has a long history of supporting her schools in taking environmental action, and in a normal year, she would have had an Earth Day event where students and parents alike could come and see what our students are doing. And given the pandemic, we've gone this route. So I'll hand it over to you, Trustee Wong, to introduce our student groups.
Thank you.
Land acknowledgement. Thank you. Sorry, land acknowledgement first.
Right. Thank you, Jen. And really happy to be here and seeing all of you today. Let's start the webinar by acknowledging our land. We acknowledge that we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. And want to acknowledge that by introducing Autumn Peltier here as our being our youth activist. So again, we will have the pleasure today, very much so, that first of all, our students from our schools, from Sojourner McDonald, and our grade 8 students, and I'm sure that you would have the opportunity to have a little conversation with Miss Pam Miller and her class, her grade 8 class from Virtual Elementary School Learning Center 4, and as well as the members of the Toronto Youth Environmental Council, which is a federally registered nonprofit working with numerous other organizations for more sustainable and prosperous future in our city and the world. So I'm very excited and looking forward to the presentations that we have, and I trust that with working together with other stakeholders and community members that we have, as well, of course, with our students as well, given that we are still in the pandemic crisis, we are forging ahead with our action plans and ideas. Looking forward to the conversation to continue this work so that we will, as an institution at TDSB, fulfill our educational mandate, as well as being a leader to pursue actions towards a net zero emission by 2050 or earlier. So looking forward to the conversation we have today.
Great, thank you, Trustee Wong. Appreciate that. So, Mrs. Miller, I'll hand it over to you and your students.
As always, playing with the mute, unmute button. I'm getting better, but absolutely. And I'm so thrilled. Thank you, Mana Wong, for a wonderful introduction. I was thinking when you showed Autumn Peltier as part of the land acknowledgement, we've been really inspired by her work as the water carrier and really following in the footsteps of her grandmother, Joseph Mandamin. So just an inspiration. I want to just give a second to my students to put on their cameras. I just want to make sure that they're all here. And if the rest of you want to have your cameras on or off in terms of the audience, that's fine. You'll probably make us nervous, so I might ask you to turn off your cameras for our students while our cameras turn on. So I'll just make sure that our folks are getting their cameras on. We have at least 7 of us, and I just want to make sure that we're all here. All right, so again, my name is Pam Miller, and I have the honor to work with these amazing grade 8 students. I'm just going to share my screen in a minute, and so then we can introduce who we're working with. Okay, super. So in alphabetical order, the team that has been doing this work presenting is Healy, Ajaya, Dante, Ellie, Matilda, Nevaeh, Paz, and Tasfia. Unfortunately, Nevaeh couldn't be with us today, neither could Alex. So Alex has given us this film clip or audio clip to be part of our presentation. And I'm hoping that Paz will get into the room, so maybe just watch out for her. And if not, I'll pick up her speaking part. But we are going to share with you the story of our journey of making films to educate other teens about environmental issues related to water. And without further ado, let me just share my next screen, and Ajaya will start us off.
Hi, my name is Ajaya, and I'm one of the 37 students in virtual grade class. Students in our class come from 20 different schools in the southwest and south central parts of Toronto. Since September, we have spent approximately 25,000 minutes or 425 hours in front of our computers. What people say there are negative effects on kids who have too much screen time. We're okay, but you should see the teachers.
Storytelling is the oldest form of learning. It gave generations before us ways to share and tell the answers to the biggest questions of life. This year, we have been exploring Indigenous residential school survivor stories, Black Canadian stories, and stories of the places we live. So it made sense to continue to use stories to tell others about water issues, and then, through stories, we can inspire others to act.
But really, how can you tell stories when we're all so disconnected and dependent on unreliable Wi-Fi? How can you build connections when hardly anyone uses their camera or microphone because of Zoom fatigue? Or worse, your Wi-Fi provider happened to shut down in the middle of a meeting without any prior notice.
With any project, there are steps to take. So despite all the challenges, the first step is to start with the story you care about. Back in October and November when we started the project, if you asked us what we cared about, we would have told you we cared about our families and keeping everyone safe from COVID. We were also worried about the state of the world if Trump was reelected, climate change, and the world we're inheriting. Water was not on the list.
Fortunately, we were able to participate in the virtual youth forums and take part in many water-related webinars. Alex Mifflin from the Water Brothers shared with us his passion and knowledge about water and what we could do to bring attention to water issues. He also talked about actions we could take and how to inspire others. The spark was lit and we began brainstorming about what water issues we cared about the most.
I'll just speak for Paz. So the next step was to form teams. Ms. Garda, one of our teachers, introduced us to personal brands and how effective teams often have a mix of these brands. This way, each of our water issue research groups included members who have a wide range of skills and interests. Paz is a hacker because she loves to create things and she's amazing at editing films. She's also really good at solving problems, although we would have to agree it will need all of us to solve our environmental problems.
We all know that group work looks good on paper, but in reality, it's real hard work. Even though we use breakout rooms to meet and work together, the virtual environment makes it really hard to build a community. One group even named themselves the Awkward Silence Team. You can probably guess why. We work hard at this and created norms and roles. To be honest, we're still working on getting better, but it's definitely a long journey.
So this is doing our research of urban water systems. We felt that it would be important to understand the water cycle where we live. And so we could really take a look at where can we take action on where we live. And looking at, again, storm sewers, sewage, and even the microplastics that are going into Lake Ontario. Here you can see some of the student work on the sketch notes that they did, where they took a look at, again, the urban water cycle where they live and being able to connect it to their research.
Water is life. However, not everyone has access to fresh, clean water. In fact, over and over, communities of color and those with low income are often denied this basic human right. In our research, we learned how the city of Halifax built a garbage dump next to the community of Africville and denied residents running water and sewage services. We also learned about the Neskantaga First Nation water crisis and how their water treatment plant has never produced safe drinking water. Environmental racism in the water where we lived, we each chose an issue to learn more about. I chose to learn about water pollution. Much of our plastic litter ends up in Lake Ontario, and the sun breaks it down into smaller micro pieces. I found out that these microplastics are making their way through the food chain into our bodies. No one yet knows what harm microplastics will cause inside of us.
When learning to tell the story of any issue, it's important to start from where you live. Because of the changing climate, Toronto has already had 7 extreme storms in the past 20 years, with huge areas of the city impacted by 100-year floods. And with most of us living near the lake, we're at risk of being directly impacted. So with the help of Number 9's program, Imagining My Sustainable City, we investigated how to make our city structures more sustainable and resilient to climate change impacts.
We created models of green buildings that conserve water by collecting, storing, and recycling rainwater. These buildings would also decrease the amount of water that goes into sewers and slow down stormwater by using more green roofs and permeable surfaces to ensure the water trickles into the ground. I built an LRT station which had a green roof. Imagine if all of the TTC stations had green roofs. What impact that could have.
The core of most documentaries is the interview. It allows the viewer to hear the stories firsthand from the people impacted by the topic. Through the LSF webinars, we listened to many stories and learned about the Ojibwe grandmother Josephine Mandamin and her great love for water. We also had a special presentation from Real World staff, film producer Sonia Lee. They shared stories of their challenges and successes as people of Black, Indigenous, or color in the film industry. For our interviews, we talked to our elders and friends and listened to their stories.
Our action started with reflecting about what we wanted to change. Many of us wanted cleaner water, and those of us who could walk along the lake wanted to reduce the amount of garbage that littered our shores. If I could change something, I would change the amount of garbage and chemicals that goes into the water.
Using our knowledge of SMART goals, we set goals for ourselves and tracked our actions over a week. Some of us picked up garbage and some of us tried new habits, like reducing single-use plastic bottles. Many of us reduced the time we spent in the shower. All I can say is a good thing we're in virtual school because I can't even stand myself. Pun intended.
One action we did this spring break was to track the amount of food we're wasting. We know that wasting food feeds climate change because rotting food in landfills releases methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. In fact, if global food waste were measured as a country, it will be the world's 3rd worst emitter of greenhouse gases.
When we set out on this journey, we asked, how can we use film to present our stories? And how can we make a convincing film about a problem which will inspire people to act? In order to tell our story well, we took time to learn about film at the different shots and camera angles. We also made mini films along the way to get us more familiar with filmmaking. And so far as a class, we have made one film about food waste and are working on our water documentaries.
As a class, we have learned so much about water and how it impacts our lives here in Toronto. But we have also learned that we can make a difference as individuals, and more so when we work collectively. Personally, I have learned that we waste tons more water than we think, and all the water issues are connected to climate change. But I have also learned that we can change the way we think about water and then change how we use it. Thank you to Learning for Sustainable Futures for the opportunity to participate in this program. Chimagwach.
All right, a big thank you to the grade 8 students who did, again, all the work behind the scenes, practicing, and what a wonderful presentation. I'm just so proud of the efforts and things that you've been doing this year. So congratulations, well done.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller and your grade 8s for that incredible presentation. I didn't realize that food waste was the 3rd largest emitter. So that's very eye-opening. Now we're going to bring you the team from Sir John A. Macdonald, and they also have been, well, they're partially virtual and partially in school, but they've decided to focus some of their thinking about COVID waste on the environment. So Hamza, I invite you to share your screen, or if that's going to be Adam.
It's going to be Cody. So Cody.
Okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Hamza and I'm the president of Sir John A. Macdonald's Environmental Action Council, MEAC for short.
And I'm Cody, the vice president of MEAC.
We are a group of 30 students ranging from grade 9 to 12 who work towards making our school more aware of environmental issues and encouraging students to take action. In previous years, we have overseen McDonald's recycling program, raised awareness in the school about multiple environmental issues, taught ourselves about ecological issues impacting our community and the world, and raised funds for environmental causes such as protecting threatened species. This year, with the difficulties of COVID, we shifted our focus to reaching the community and authorities and encouraging them to take action.
We have been active on social media, adding to our website, and will use the opportunity for this webinar to reach people outside our school. Members of our council also send letters to the provincial government on specific issues which needed attention. Today, we will have a two-part presentation. The first one is a Jamboard, which will allow you to put notes and share your ideas on how COVID has affected the environment, then learn a bit. The second part is a presentation on a 7-day eco challenge we've created for you to participate in and share your results. So let's dive into the Jamboard, and I'll hand it over to Adam.
Hi everyone, my name's Adam. I'm a grade 10 student from MAC. I'm going to be leading the Jamboard today. For anyone who's never used a Jamboard before, I'm going to be putting a link in chat. You should just click on that. It should take you straight to what's on screen right now. On the left side, there should be a little sticky note button, and using that, you should be able to write comments and everything. So this Jamboard today is going to have 2 questions at the start of it. This is the first question here, which is, how has COVID negatively affected the environment, and what can we do to stop those negative effects? So I'm going to give you about 1 minute to write all your ideas. You're not restricted to 1 minute. If 1 minute goes by, feel free to keep writing. This isn't timed or anything, but in case you can't think of anything to write about, we have a couple pointers. Some of those are an increase in medical waste, online shopping, postponed waste recycling, reusable and rewashable masks, and teaching people how to properly dispose of PPEs. So I'm going to get a timer going right now. And I'll also talk about some of these as they come in. So a lot of ideas coming in. This is really good. It makes me happy to see. There's lots of littering in our parks. I like that one at the bottom left there. I'm sure everyone who has been on walks or been anywhere in any parking lots or anything have seen all the face masks on the ground and whatnot. And it's a sort of the new most common litter item. So that's a really big one right there. Another one, yeah, masks and tree branches. Increase food from takeout. That's another one, not just online shopping. Everyone going out, especially takeout, Uber Eats, that sort of thing generates a lot of, styrofoam and one-use plastics. So that's another big one. Hospital waste is a big one. I like that one. There's a lot of questions. This makes me happy to see there's a lot more than when we ran it. It's a good group. More online shopping is a lot more packaging. There's a lot more e-waste. I like that one. Me personally, I don't know how many people here, but when I heard online school was starting, I bought stuff to make sure that I could function properly in online school. So I'm sure there's lots of e-waste being thrown out right now, and there's a lot of that just goes straight into landfills. All right, so that's 1 minute. That doesn't mean you have to stop writing. There's a lot of ideas. Everyone feel free to come and read this. But some of the ideas that we found in our research is the increase for need in things like masks and other single-use supplies adds to landfills, especially when they're disposed of improperly. So that's littering and all the masks in the parking lots. As people stay home more, there's bound to be more household waste, and things like online shopping are not helping that. Almost all products bought online come with too much packaging, and it adds up. A number of countries have also ramped down their recycling due to COVID. The US has cut down nearly 46% of the recycling facilities due to fear of COVID spreading at the plants. And certain European countries have also restricted infected residents from sorting their waste into recycling. On maintaining these effects, mask and glove manufacturers should use more environmentally friendly materials. And this is not only on the current environmental crisis, but it also prepare for any similar crises like COVID-19. There can also be more awareness about proper waste management. So that's like where gloves and masks and other household waste is thrown out. So that could restrict some of the littering that's happening. And City of Toronto has online resources for where this waste is supposed to go. So we could popularize that a bit more so people know where to throw things out. And the lack of knowledge about infectious waste management is why most people dump these out in the open. So I feel like that's a very important thing to be looking at. There are a lot of questions on this Jamboard. That is, wow, okay. But everyone go and read that. That's really good. I'm going to pass this over to the next question, which is going to be Eric. So that's all you, Eric.
Hi guys, I'm Eric, and I'll be talking about the second question that we came up with, and it's on the second page of the Jamboard. So there's an arrow, you can click to the second page. Okay, so the question is, how has COVID positively affected the environment, and what can we do to maintain these positive effects? So due to COVID, there's definitely been some negative impacts. So there's more waste, but there also is some positive impacts. So some examples of these are decrease in transportation, decrease in water pollution, reduction in people in parks. So knowing these, you guys come up with an example of one positive impact COVID had and some way that we can maintain that positive impact. Some examples of how to maintain these impacts are raising awareness and showing the positive effects caused by COVID to others. Now I'll give you guys around a minute to put up your answers on the Jamboard, and I'll periodically talk about some of them. So yeah, more wildlife. Now that some people are not going to parks, they're definitely encouraging some wildlife to come back into like parks and like other open areas. Less airplanes, yeah. Less people are traveling because of people are afraid of COVID-19. Governments aren't really incentivizing people to go travel, so that's one positive effect. So yeah, a lot of you guys are saying more wildlife, more birds, less air pollution. Yeah, that's a big one because a lot of countries have factories and they're producing a lot of air pollution as a contributing to global warming. So it is 1 minute, but you can continue to push your ideas or to write your ideas. Okay. So more indoor planting and greening of homes. Yeah, people are planting more stuff maybe because they have time to stay at home. So I'll be discussing information we found. So it is estimated that there's a 96% drop in aviation travel last year. China has reportedly cut down on 70% of their greenhouse gas emissions from transportation because of flight restrictions. And reportedly, there's been a 500% reduction in dumping of untreated sewage, which is actually a lot, in my opinion, because of the shutdown factors due to COVID. To maintain these positive effects, we can raise awareness about pollution, since of most of COVID's positive effects that we found are from reduced pollution. So we can show people that you can retain these effects. We need to understand the importance of negative effects of pollution. Okay, so I'll pass it on to the next group, the presentation group.
So now for part 2 of MEAC's presentation. We will be discussing environmental lifestyle change.
So let's start off with a quote by environmentalist and poet Gary Snyder. Nature is not a place to visit, it is a home.
So alluding to the quote, it is important that we are mindful of our impact on nature as it is our home. We are not separated from nature, we are nature. So in this presentation, we will be discussing lifestyle change, the Council's eco-challenge reflections, and action items for you, the audience.
Now on to lifestyle changes and how small changes make a difference. Let's start off with an example of how a lifestyle change can impact the environment. On average, Canadians use 2.7 coffee cups per day. According to World Wildlife Fund, it takes 30 years for a disposable cup to break down. Within the span of 30 years, those cups do not necessarily get properly wasted. Compounded into 1 year, that would equate to 985.5 cups. And if those cups were to be broken down one by one in a span of 30 years, it would take 29,565 years for one person, 1 year's worth of coffee. That is quite a lengthy amount of time. To put that into perspective, the oldest person in the world right now is 118 years old. So the time it would take would equate to approximately 250 of their lifetimes. And the alternative, when possible, would be to use a reusable mug. When we shift our habits towards sustainable intent, we can make things better. However, we must also remember that no one is perfect, and it's the effort that matters most. And that's why the Council created the Eco Challenge.
After quantifying the impacts of coffee cup, we hope you recognize the impact your actions on a daily basis have. Now we will have a panel where members of the Council will discuss their reflections on the Eco Challenge.
We did this challenge to commit to 7 days of lifestyle habit change and to educate ourselves on environmental issues. Our goal was to learn more about sustainable living and adapt sustainable habits into our lives. Big changes are difficult, so we decided to make each day's task a small action item that could be carried on beyond the challenge. As well, we wanted to reflect on our current lifestyles and see where we can adjust in favor of the earth.
Hey everyone, I'm Mohammed, and I partook in the 7-day Eco Challenge with MEAC. So my question on the reflection was, what is something I could adapt into my daily habits? And how can I encourage others to adapt a more sustainable lifestyle? So one of the many things I could adapt into my daily habit is taking time out of my day to educate myself more on environmental issues, specifically things like recycling and proper waste disposal, which always seem to be straightforward and known by common sense. However, during my Eco Challenge, I came across several items which I was improperly disposing. Things like bubble wrap, packing peanuts, and clothes hangers were all items I once believed to be recyclable. However, they were in fact not. It was sort of an eye-opening experience because normally pictures and logos of proper recycling may not be able to apply the same ideologies, and it may not be able to tell the whole picture.
My question was, what can I improve about my household and to be more conscious about the environment? So when I did it, I thought that my family and I could be more diligent and see how much energy we are wasting around our home. We can work towards minimizing this by shutting down certain electronics or using LEDs around my home.
Hi, my name is Arathan, and I partook in the 7-day Eco Challenge. After doing so, I considered, how do my daily actions impact others and the environment? After completing this challenge, I was able to learn a lot about myself and the consequences of my actions. I learned this primarily through the research I conducted on day 4. Specifically, I learned about Canada's trash crisis and how our garbage and contaminated recycling is dumped into developing countries that do not have the proper means to dispose of it. This led me to seriously reconsider what items I truly need and how I could obtain them in an ethical manner.
We hope that you were inspired after listening to the panel. Thanks to our members who shared their experiences. Now it's your turn.
Here's a neat tool, quantify your impact. Try out this carbon footprint calculator to understand the effects of your actions. This tool is helpful in seeing the impact you make in numbers.
There are so many ways we as individuals can come together to make a difference. Here are some ideas as noted on the slideshow, such as using reusable bags for groceries and staying up to date with local and global environmental issues. We also recognize that environmental actions must also be done through policy change and keeping industry accountable for their actions as well. Signing petitions, educating yourself on green policy, and contacting political representatives are some ways to start.
Want to challenge yourself to participate in the Eco Challenge? We've created some resources for you to take part on your own or with others.
I'm Aiden, and let's go back to the Jamboard and answer this final question. What is one way you'll commit to an eco-friendly lifestyle? Avoiding disposable coffee cups. That's a good idea. If you're drinking anything and you have like a reusable container you can use, you should try using that. Reducing single-use plastic. Yeah, if you're using a lot of like single-use plastics that you know you will only use one time and throw out, you should try stop doing that. Like plastic bags, like Ziploc bags, you try reusing them. Bike rather than drive when possible. Yeah, if you're going somewhere and it's not too far and you know you can just take your bike there, you should try doing that. Go outside more and take more walks on your bike. Yeah. Take shorter showers. Yeah, that's also a good one. Sorting trash. Yeah. Grow your own food. That's a good idea. Yeah, there are a lot of good ideas here. A lot about like driving and just to drive less and go outside more. A lot about recycling garbage and all that. And now back to the slideshow.
So thanks for all your participation. It was wonderful seeing everyone's ideas on the Jamboard, and it really communicates the idea that if we all work together and we pull in our ideas, we can truly make a difference. So let's go green to keep the earth clean. Follow at meac.mac on Instagram for more updates from the council and visit our website for more information. Thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions, you can ask away.
Ivy, thank you so much. And the MEAC team, that was incredible. And if we don't mind holding off on questions, we'll have our last team present, and then we can open it up to questions from any of the teams. So thank you again. That was brilliant. You guys did such a great job. I think the Jamboard, it sounds like everybody really loved how you brought that into the presentation, and and it was sort of live in action happening. So congratulations to the team. And now I have the great honor of introducing the TEC team. So this is the Toronto Youth Environmental Council. We have with us today the president, Evan, Vice President Bilal, and I think communications, Carolyn, is that your title?
Director of Media.
Director of Media. They are from Earl Haig, Mark Garneau, and Etobicoke School of the Arts. So great to see we've got some diverse representation from our schools across the city. And Evan, Bilal, Carolyn, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pam. All right, thanks, Jen. Sorry. Thank you for having us on the call today. We're so excited to share what TIC has been doing. But before we start, we want to sort of set the stage. So for our presentation, if you want to have your cameras on, if you want to engage in the chat, we would love to have that. As much as this is a webinar, we really see this as a conversation between us and all of you. I know that there's people from OISE here today, there's a lot of teachers, and there's a lot of students as well. And so this is the future of education. All of you are going to be the ones that will be in these roles, 10, 20 years from now, teaching students like us about environmentalism. And so it's so special that we can all gather here today. So we are the Toronto Youth Environmental Council. You're probably wondering, what is TIAC? I've never heard of this before. And so we'll explain. So TIAC is a federally registered nonprofit, and we've been promoting sustainability and environmental initiatives to high school students and middle school students since 2013. So it's been a long while. And we also partner with local organizations like Evergreen and Eco Schools here as well. All right, we're going to do a quick introduction of everyone. So hi, my name is Evan again, and I'm the president. I'll pass it on to Bilal.
Hey everyone, my name is Bilal and I am the vice president.
And hi everyone, I'm Carolyn and I am the director of media.
Awesome. I'm going to pass the floor over to Bilal. He's going to go into more about our initiatives for the past year.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, Evan. So really quick, I'm going to run you guys through what we've done in the past this past year and what we're currently doing in terms of environmental initiatives within TIAC. So first and foremost, way back in November, we had 35 really committed students come into our team as eco-ambassadors. These students help us run our initiatives and give us input when it comes to the things that we do in terms of our initiatives, events, and anything that we might do in the future. Now, way back in December, we had our media challenge. Our goal with this was to connect social media, art, and environmentalism. We had people like poets, artists, and writers submit pieces that they were really passionate about in terms of the environment. We posted those on our social media and gave them the exposure they so deserved. Now, our huge flagship event was our online conference that went by the name of Change, Humanity's Greatest Innovator. Here we had over 200 students participating in different workshops, and we also had a keynote speaker. Sorry about that in the background, but we also had a keynote speaker by the name of Rochelle Byrne, who gave us a little insight of how she implements sustainability into her life. Some of our workshops included things like sustainable fashion, our carbon footprint, and environmentalism through art and writing. And lastly, right now, we're currently holding our different committee initiatives. We knew we were a little late in the year and we didn't want to take up too much time in terms of any big initiatives.
I think Bilal is experiencing a couple network issues. No worries. So Bilal basically was just finishing discussing our committees, and I'll get into a little bit more about what our committees are, what they're doing. So our committees, which consist of our executive heads and our eco-ambassadors, which Bilal kind of touched on, they've banded together and are currently working on some amazing projects. So our outreach and research departments are working together to compile and collect our community's voices through some really detailed questions in order to create change and really represent our community in some of TIAC's upcoming events, initiatives, and projects. And they're doing this by acknowledging how the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the environment and how it has amended the habits and values of people in terms of environmental concern. The research is centered around the Participatory Research Action Method, or PRA, which allows our team to dive deeper into the problems which plague our local areas and find solutions that can be applied in our future initiatives. Our media and events committees are creating a number of blog posts that will be soon on our website, torontoyac.org, for youth and ambassadors to share their ideas, articles, research, and opinions on current events and issues our environment is facing, such as soil erosion, ocean acidification, vertical farming, and Canada's dealings with climate change. And last but not least, our finance and marketing committees are creating a water consumption audit amongst our eco-ambassadors, where they track the amount of water they use and how they're using it. They'll be compiling the data collected from this audit into a comprehensive report that details where they're most wasteful with water and how they can reduce their consumption. We can't wait to share the results of these projects with you all soon, so make sure to keep an eye out for their public release coming very soon. So in regards to climate change, what has TIAC been doing? Well, we're so glad you asked. In our next segment, which I will be sharing my screen for, can everybody see that? Just give me a thumbs up if you can. Perfect, great. So in our next segment, we will be discussing one of our latest projects, the Climate Action Challenge, which avidly promotes the idea of taking individual strides towards change. So the Climate Action Challenge, or the CAC, is a challenge designed to present individual contributions that our members can act on in order to do their part in the fight against climate change. It challenges our members to take individual strides towards combating climate change through environmental habits, lifestyle changes, and daily activities, and serves as a reminder to our members that every small action is a small but impactful step towards enacting change and saving our planet. So how does the CAC, or Climate Action Challenge, work? Well, the CAC suggests a number of actions and activities that our eco-ambassadors can choose from to complete the CAC. These tasks are all worth points, incentivizing our ambassadors to do more tasks in order to win the challenge. With a timeline of 2 weeks, members were expected to fulfill the quota of at least 3 tasks, but go above and beyond if they truly wanted to make a change. Note that we did allow our members to come up with their own tasks, which really allowed their creativity to shine through in ways we could not have imagined. Where applicable, we asked our ambassadors to send in evidence of a completed task in order to confirm that the task had truly been done. And through this challenge, our eco-ambassadors helped to initiate change as individuals by giving back to our planet through every activity they completed. So let's get into some of the 2 main types of activities we featured in the Climate Action Challenge. There are both short-term and long-term activities they can choose from, with the short-term activities worth 1 point and the long-term activities worth 3 points. Short-term activities, such as going without light energy for 1 day, making a DIY reusable mask, signing climate change petitions, and going meatless for 1 day, can be completed in 1 day, therefore warranting 1 point each. Long-term activities, such as starting a mini garden, cutting back on food waste and plastic packaging for a week, taking shorter showers under 10 minutes, and biking or walking to all near destinations for a week, take a lot longer and therefore are worth 3 points. Our exec team is very, very proud of the amount of work our eco-ambassadors put into this challenge. We got a lot of participation from all of our eco-ambassadors, with the highest point count from an ambassador being 43 points, with 19 activities being completed over the span of 2 weeks, which is amazing. And second, we had 3 people tied. Everybody had 32 points, which each of them completing around 16 to 17 activities over the span of 2 weeks. And then third, 1 ambassador earned 24 points, completing 12 activities over the span of 2 weeks. We also got a number of comments from our ambassadors that talked about how much they enjoyed participating in the challenge. And a number of people also put a great deal of effort into explaining what they did for each challenge with a lot of detailed evidence attached. So this kind of evidence ranged from photos to screenshots of activities that our eco-ambassadors did. And on this slide, you can see some of the screenshots of some submissions we got from our eco-ambassadors. Many of them were really, really dedicated and went above and beyond in this challenge. A number of them planted lots of great greenery, as you can see from some of the photos here, which is great. We had some lemon trees. I think somebody planted some strawberries. It was amazing. Oh, next slide. Perfect. So why did we create and implement this activity, and why should you implement the CAC too? This activity is a great way for students to allow, this activity is a great way to allow students to initiate change on an individual level, and it also allows them to become conscious of some of the lifestyle changes they can act upon in order to help our environment. So in terms of implementing the CAC, how might the CAC be beneficial to your group or workspace? And how can you bring the CAC into your classroom or eco club? Firstly, there are 2 main benefits amongst many that the Climate Change Action Challenge brings. Firstly, versatility, and secondly, a strong message. The activities featured within the CAC are very versatile and can be used in almost every setting. What I mean by this is that the challenge isn't targeted towards one specific group of people. Anyone can challenge themselves to go forward with the CAC individually or in a group, and the activities are versatile too, targeting lifestyle changes, climate change research, activities like picking up trash, and many more. It also spreads and reinforces the message that individual strides towards change can make a difference. Thus, by introducing this challenge into your classroom or workspace, or just introducing it into your own life as a potential resource, you can spread environmentalism and also potentially teach yourself or students about the importance of individual strides towards making a difference. So in order to personalize the CAC for your group, I've put together a few proposed implementations and notes that might make the challenge more unique to your goals and your message. Firstly, change the timeline. Secondly, incentivize. Thirdly, come up with new activities. And lastly, discuss climate change as a lesson. So one idea is that you could make the challenge long-term so that your group has more time to complete more tasks. For example, instead of a 2-week timeline, you could make the timeline 2 months instead. A note here is also to incentivize, which we will also touch on a little bit later. Find an award that is suitable for your classroom because students can often be greatly motivated by awards, which may allow for stronger participation. Thirdly, you can come up with your own activities that work within your group, such as collaborative activities with peers, students, or friends, or team building activities centered around the environment. Another idea is to introduce it as a lesson. This challenge is a great way to introduce the detriments of climate change and some of the factors that contributed, whether you're teaching that in an eco club setting to your class or just to yourself. The Climate Action Challenge could serve as a fun follow-up activity that will get you or members to actually get up and take action. I have the slides deck that has all of the presentable CAC information on it, so I will post that into the chat so that you have easy access to it if you're interested in trying it out. We hope you implement the CAC challenge into your workspaces, and if you do, we'd love to hear from you about how it went. So feel free to email or DM us either on Instagram at TorontoYek or through our email, torontoyek@gmail.com. All right, I'm going to pass it back to Evan now.
Thank you, Carolyn. I'm going to share my screen. This should work. Yes. All right, awesome. So thank you, Carolyn, for going over the CAC, the climate challenge. It sounded like a lot of fun, and I know that you'll have a lot to share with everyone in terms of resources so that everyone can take part in the challenge as well. Okay, next up, we have one last sort of segment prepared, but to segue into that, I wanted to play one of my favorite movie scenes, so I'll let that roll.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All right, so that was from The Matrix. Yes, good eye. I love that. And so often we're faced with these decisions all the time that we have to make. And one of these big questions from the past year has been, how do we engage a group of students online? Like, it's so challenging to engage students in person already. So like, how do we bring this to a virtual format? And so TAIEC has been hosting a lot of conferences, calls, meetings over the past year. And so as students who run your school's eco clubs, your student leaders, and teachers or soon-to-be teachers that are here, we wanted to provide some advice on what works and what doesn't in terms of engaging students online. So I will start with the red pill, which is what worked. So let's go one by one. Incentives, as Carolyn talked about, people have prizes, watching funny YouTube videos, games, and that's a really good way to engage people, and it could totally be environmentally themed. Next would be frequent sessions. And so if you're running your school's eco club, we recommend weekly check-ins. So it doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be totally formal, but it's really good to meet often because you lose that connection over time. Next up, there's prepare for the worst. There's always going to be issues with online security, technical difficulties, ensuring your Zoom link works. And so in our case, it was our eco conference where our Zoom link couldn't hold more than 100 people. And so we scrambled and tried to get a link. And so be ready for those because they will definitely be coming your way. All right, the next one is setting expectations from the start. It's really hard to sort of impose instructions or sort of like guidelines or rules later on. And so by making it clear from the start that you want people's cameras on, you want people engaged and online, it'll really, really help and go a long way for the months to come. Next would be connect with your team. Again, cameras, like I said, and we're all humans. So although tasks may be the most pressing thing, and we are people after all, and there are times when we might just want to, hang out on a call and chill, or you might want to play a game, even though there's so much content and stuff, especially in quads to go over. And so sometimes it's best to just take it easy, especially during these unprecedented times. Switching gears to oh yes, feel free to talk, rant, and connect with one another. And switching gears to the blue pill, what didn't work? What was not great? And that was micromanaging every aspect. So Bilal, unfortunately, I'm not sure if he's here, but he's having trouble with his internet. And so we have learned to delegate and pass responsibilities off to others. And in a way, it makes us work better as a team and gives everyone something to do as a role within our organization. Give students their own time. So teachers especially, students hate it when you're constantly there 24/7. And I know that like Bilal and I too, we are kind of in that authoritative role. I know that there's probably positions in your eco club like president or vice president. And so sometimes it's best to just let everyone roam free, step back, do your own thing, and let everyone kind of run as they wish, because micromanaging everything can be a challenge at times. All right. And then we need to be realistic at times. Sometimes we are too ambitious. We need to manage time so that we can fulfill enough roles and responsibilities for the time that is allotted. And so sometimes we think we're going to overachieve. We set unrealistic goals with like unrealistic expectations on turnout. And online, that's really, really challenging to sort of gauge in. So by, testing it out, seeing, for instance, the climate change plan, we've tried it with our group and now we're going to expand. And it's really important to use SMART goals. And so I love how Pam's group at the beginning talked about how we can use SMART goals to really make some realistic goals. And so that is definitely important in making sure things work. Also, another thing we really noticed was that large teams and calls and structures are very hard to manage, especially in a virtual setting. And we broke down our TIAC group into committees. And so all our ambassadors got an option to choose between finance, marketing, outreach, media, research, and they all are specializing in working in their own sort of breakout group committees. And that's really effective since people can get to know one another and also are focused on a task rather than just being in a huge call with 60 people or having a really big exec team. It makes things very hard to run, and a lot of people depend on others and have their accountability towards someone else. So Carolyn and I will demonstrate this. So Carolyn, did you get the project done from last week that we need for TIAC?
What? I thought you were supposed to get that project done. Aren't you the president? So shouldn't you be getting all this stuff done?
No, but you're the media coordinator. And so I thought that you'd be putting all the presentation and slides together.
Right. But you said that, you were like going to be helping me because, you're the president and everything. And you said that you get the presentation done. Right?
So this is pretty much what happened when preparing for this webinar. Things like that happen. And so keeping your team small and checking in frequently is definitely helpful in managing a successful team online. Too many people doing the same role. There's a lack of accountability, as I just mentioned. And with that said, that brings us to the end of our presentation. Carolyn's gonna take it away with our ending.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening to our presentation. We hope you enjoyed listening and we hope you can take some of the things we said into account. Do you want to join our team? Well, our executive applications will be coming soon for our next upcoming year. As an executive in TIAC, you'd make great contribution with ideas, events, management, and leading ambassador committees with some super fun projects. We're looking for students who are keen about caring for and spreading awareness about our environment from any grade. And we only have one Earth, and we hope you will join our team so that we can work together to make an impact. If you are interested in joining our team, be sure to visit our website, torontoyec.org, and go to the Contact Us tab or message us on Instagram, like Evan put in the chat. You can also leave any questions that you have there on the website, or you can ask us now. And don't forget, if you do end up implementing the CAC either in your classroom or in your own life, we'd love to hear how it goes. All right, I think Jen will be opening up the floor to questions now. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you, Carolyn, Evan, and Bilal. That was fantastic. You guys are so inspirational. I've loved connecting with you these past few weeks and, just learning about what your team is doing. We have lots of plans to collaborate with TIAC next year. Pam was already saying we're going to work together, right? So we have, lots of plans, Evan, Bilal, and Carolyn, and we're so excited. And thank you for being such an inspiration. Pam and I have the great benefit at this time of year of normally going to visit hundreds of schools. And due to COVID, we aren't able to do that. But when we're there, we get to meet with students like, all of your teams here today, the grade 8s and MEAC and TIAC. And we get to hear about all the incredible things that you know about the environment and the actions that you're taking. So I want to thank all of you for sharing your work with us today. It's incredible, and we're just really grateful, that you have joined us today and shared with us. So just to let everyone know, we are working on a climate action guide for youth, and we have involved TIAC in reviewing. My colleague Kristen Evers is the lead on this project. And we have been working with Michelle Martin, who is helping us to write it. You can see the title here, Transforming TO, a Community Climate Action Guide for Toronto Youth. And it's meant to be for youth. We have lots of input from young people and students from the city because, as you can see today, they're doing great things, and we want to give them a platform to use their voice. So that'll be coming out probably in the fall. There'll be lots of ways that we're going to connect our TDSB staff with this, webinars on our website, through the newsletter. And then we have a couple of upcoming webinars we just let you know about. We're sort of almost wrapping up the year. We've got Growing Authentic Learning in Educational Gardens, May 31st. Climate Action Education PLC info session on June 2nd. I think a lot of our teachers will be keen to join that. It's a great way to talk with others about and learn about climate action education. And then on June 17th, we're going to get together at 4 o'clock and breathe a big sigh of, oh my gosh, we made it through the year, and just talk about climate action education. Our students are, welcome to join us as well, I think, Hillary. Without further ado, if there are any questions, Hillary, perhaps you can help me sort of manage that, but any questions of our amazing students that have presented here today, let's open it up.
And Jen, I just want to add my congratulations to all of our student presenters today. That was so incredibly impressive. Oh my goodness. I put a little note in the chat that we want to talk to all of you in a few years when you're finishing your undergraduate degrees. We want you back at OASE to be training to be educators. So come and talk to me at that point. That'd be really great. So a little reminder, I have triggered the feedback poll. If you can just tell us what you thought about today's webinar and whether your learning needs were met. We'd love to hear a little bit more information about that from you. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. And I think at this point, what we will do is we'll stop the recording. So we'll just thank all of our presenters today, Trustee Mana Wong, Jen Vetter from EcoSchools, the EcoSchools team, and all of the amazing student presenters for their incredible work today. Thank you, Ms. Miller, for bringing in your class. We really appreciate that. And we look forward to hearing more from all of these student leaders as we move forward. We know that you folks are the next generation who are going to be leading these movements, and you're already starting to model that at an incredibly young age.